I once believed that our species, the Vorthuan Imperium, stood highest among all known civilizations. We conquered nebula clusters, burned out pirate worlds, dominated thousands of lesser cultures. We became feared not because we were cruel, but because we were predictable, calculated, perfect. We shaped war like mathematicians shape equations. And then, humanity arrived. At first, when the Terran Union stepped into our political forums, we saw nothing. Their soldiers were small, their ships were unimpressive. Their history was riddled with civil wars, famine, unstable governments, and primitive tendencies toward individualism. They bickered. They celebrated emotion. They had leaders who cried openly when speaking of their losses. We dismissed them, not because we hated them, but because we pitied them. The universe teaches that species evolve beyond emotional fragility, but humanity never did. They carried sorrow, love, stubbornness, guilt, and hope like sacred relics. And we thought we understood war better. I was an officer then, Commander Ralvan of the 5th Vorthuan Legion, and my first encounter with humans was not philosophical. It was battlefield science. And in the fires of siege and plasma storms, I would learn why every species that stood near humanity, even briefly, felt fear, not of them, but of what they become when they decide to protect something. Our fleet drifted over the Cindermere expanse, where broken asteroids hung like skeletal fragments of shattered worlds. Beneath them burned the planet Revelos, 3, home to an expanding human colony. It was not strategic, not rich in minerals, not militarily vital. It was simply theirs. That alone gave them reason to defend it. But to our command council, Revelos, 3 was merely a testing ground. Humans were new, still observing treaties, still sending diplomats, still believing that unity was possible. The Imperium hoped for war, not one of survival, but demonstration. We wanted other civilizations to see our efficiency. We targeted the colony because its loss would be small, easily rebuilt, emotionally inconsequential. How little we understood. When our fleet arrived in low orbit, we transmitted standard conquest signals. Surrender, evacuate, allow resource repossession. Humans did not answer. Not at first. Then one voice cut through our frequency. A woman with a tone not of fear, but composed acceptance. I am Command Major Emery Ward. This colony is peaceful. We will not fire first. But we will not abandon this world. We laughed. Entire command clusters laughed. She spoke again. There are children here. Families. Farmers. Engineers. This is our home. We do not run from our homes. We thought it bravado. We thought it blind patriotism. But later, we understood she wasn't threatening us. She was grieving something that hadn't happened yet, as if she already saw the loss. And loss to humans is not strategic. It is spiritual. The first orbital strike was simple. We used tungsten rods, hyperdense kinetic descent projectiles. They fell through atmosphere like silver lances. The impact radius destroyed farmland, habitat rings, and communication towers. Humans screamed. Our broadcast silence continued. Then they retaliated, not from orbit, not with dreadnoughts, but from the ground. I watched through tactical displays as small human vehicles emerged from dust clouds, firing old pattern rail cannons our analysts categorized as obsolete. Their targeting was inaccurate, their shielding barely functional. They did not retreat. They didn't even reposition. They simply advanced, knowing their weapons barely touched our shields, but advanced anyway. Humans name wars not by planets, but by emotion. Revelos, 3 would one day be remembered as the place where they chose not to run. We expected immediate surrender. Instead, we encountered trenches, barricades, heat-printed steel barriers with handwriting scorched upon them. This is our home. Don't let them take the kids. Stay alive for the dawn. Humans write messages in the final hours before death. Why? We could not understand. I led ground deployment. We marched with mechanized exoframes, tall, graceful, balanced on triple-jointed limbs. Our armor was crystalline polymer, nearly unbreakable. We advanced under rotating shield domes. Then I heard them before I saw them. Human voices. Raw. Hoarse. Shouting from bunkers. Orders. Warnings. Cries. And then the first artillery blast struck my platoon. When we turned toward its origin, expecting heavy mobile carriers, we instead saw handheld launchers being manually reloaded with shaking hands. Not professional military. farm laborers, technicians, medics, people who were not soldiers but became soldiers in 1 hour. Because someone needed to stand. Humans don't wait to be qualified to defend what they love. They simply fight. We breached their lines in under 7 minutes. During my advancement, one human fell. A plasma round tore through his leg, burning through flesh, bone, and soil. Humans are fragile. Weak tissue. Slow healing cycles. I expected him to die. Instead, someone sprinted toward him through fire. A woman, no armor, medical insignia painted by brush on her vest. She slid beside him, pressed her hands into the wound, and screamed for covering fire. Not fear scream. Demand scream. Her words. You don't get to die here. Not today. I remember looking at her, her hair scorched, her face streaked with ash, and thinking, this creature is insane. Why risk your life for one whose statistical value is low? That was my error. To humans, life is not measured mathematically. It is measured relationally. He mattered to her. Therefore, survival was obligatory, not optional. I later learned her name. Kira Lee, combat medic, civilian volunteer. She would shape everything that came after. Our push continued. Eventually, their barricades fell. Burning shelters collapsed. Children were evacuated through tunnels we hadn't mapped. Their last defensive line formed in an arc around the settlement's water processors. Ancient machines they built when the colony began. Metal rusted at edges. Panels dented. Lights flickering. That is where they chose to die. Where they chose to stand between our army and their future. But they were breaking. We could hear it. Humans do not go silent when they lose. They become louder. Emotion increased. Desperation sharpened. Orders turned to pleading. Then the woman from orbit, Major Emery Ward, appeared on ground BattleNet. Her voice fractured. If anyone is alive in Sector North 3, hold. Reinforcements are inbound. We laughed again. Humans had no reinforcements. Their fleet wasn't even near this quadrant. Until sensors changed. Until we realized they forced their ships into illegal full-drive acceleration. Until we calculated that every pilot who executed that maneuver would likely die on arrival. And they did it anyway. I watched their fleet tear into real space. Hull plating ruptured. Engines barely functional. Jump core leakage visible even without scanners. Those ships were not war machines. They were sacrifices. They arrived burning. And they still fired. Battleships designed to hold 30 years of life support appeared like meteors that might last 30 hours. Then every channel lit up. Colonists, hold the line. We're here. Human voices. Every ship broadcasting simultaneously. We're here. We're here. We're here. Not victory. Not threat. Not command. A promise. The human fleet did not win. Not at first. Their weapons were outdated. Their formations sloppy. Their pilots emotional. But then something happened. Our first dread carrier fell. Then second. Then a third, destroyed by intentional collision, detonating reactors. This was not strategic. It was decision. And that terrified us. War continued into darkness. We expected humans to fall back. But they lit flares, illuminating mud, blood, and shattered armor plating. Then humanity deployed music. Thousands listened. Thousands strengthened. Thousands believed. At dawn, trenches collapsed, bodies frozen under frost. We approached. Major Ward stepped forward. This is our home. If you want to destroy it, you'll have to walk past us. Not soldiers. Just people. Then we saw the medic collapse again. And the wounded man she saved held her upright. You kept me alive. I'll keep you alive. That was the moment fear began. Not of pain. Not of weapons. Fear of witnessing change. We withdrew. Not victorious. Just unable to continue. Human funerals began. Trees were planted. Names engraved on steel plates. They rebuilt. Not closer to safety, but on the same soil where they bled. I later returned. The children became engineers. The medic taught survival. Major Ward commanded defenses. She said, home isn't a structure. Home is people. If people remain, you rebuild. If people fall, you rebuild so their memory stays. Many species fear humanity for technology. They misunderstand. Humanity is terrifying because of devotion. Even when collapse is easier. They stand. And on Ravelos 3, I, Commander Ralvan, felt terror for the first time. Not of humanity's weapons. Not of their fleets. But of their hearts. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human.